Welcome to the Mentally Whole podcast. I am your host, Lauren Green. This podcast is a safe place for us to have weekly discussions about mental health, Christ, personal development, and the tools to live our best lives. Please stay tuned for a new episode. Hey y'all, welcome to the Mentally Whole podcast. I am your host, Lauren Green. This is going to be a good episode because I am audio recording as well as video recording. So I pray that this goes well today because I haven't video recorded an episode in a while. So yeah, this is going to be good. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe to the podcast. Specifically when you rate the podcast, it shows me that you are liking the content that I'm giving out, baby. And don't forget to join the mailing list. There will be a new link to join the mailing list in the description box because I figured out how to use MailChimp and I'm super excited about that. So let's get into our discussion of the day. So today we're talking about rhythms and routine. Towards the end of this, I will share something that I've been using that has blessed my life during this pandemic, but I want to get into the good stuff first, right? So I named it Rhythms and Routine because a lot of us are dysregulated. A lot of us are not in our normal flow of doing things because of the pandemic, right? You know, we're used to getting up, going to our jobs, ending work, coming home, doing what we do after work. So, personally for me, I've been struggling with, having consistent time to work on the podcast, struggling with, working out like normal, eating healthy like I normally was. I think in my mind that I have more time to do things when in reality it's the same amount of time each day. Or I tell myself, I'm going to do it later and never do it. Right. So what are some of your routines that you are struggling to do during this pandemic? I'm not talking about the normal taking a shower, brushing your teeth, but how about your budgeting, working out, cooking your meals? Like, how are you doing with those routines? Right. So I have a few tips, some scriptures, some articles that I found that I think will help you in creating a routine and getting back in the flow. So the first tip is take inventory of your goals so you understand what needs to be in your routine, right? So for example, one of my goals is to now journal every day, right? Journal every day. So I might have to cut out some TV time. I might have to cut out watching movies, whatever, to get my journaling in every day. Also, what else? Your schedule routine should really be based off your values and goals, right? So if you value eating healthy, somewhere in your routine, meal prepping, exercising, water, all of that should be in your routine somewhere, right? Right. The next tip is have some structure for your day, right? If need be, create a schedule of, hey, what you're going to do from 9 to 5 each day, or what you're going to do from 6 to 6 every day. Or if you don't want to make a full-fledged schedule, you can create time blocks. So, for example, if you want to get up and pray every morning, from 6 to 7 could be your prayer devotional time. Or if you want to have time to work on your passion projects, let's say from 7 to 8 each night, that is your time to work on your passion projects, the thing that you are working on. That would be the time for it. And creating a schedule or doing time blocks is important because as humans, we are people of habit, right? And when something like a pandemic happens, our rhythm, our flow, our routine is completely just thrown out the window. And, honestly, it might be time for you to think of a new routine and think of a new way of doing things. So I found this article when researching called Changing Our Routines and habits. So I'm going to read you like the first paragraph. And it says, humans are creatures of habit and routine. Just as it takes us 20 years or more to develop our adult personalities, we're also developing behaviors and habits that will stay with us for a lifetime. Unfortunately, some of those behaviors and habits are not always healthy or helpful to us. Some may cause us long-term difficulties in our lives or in our relationships with others. So another important thing to take inventory of, this isn't even in my notes, but another important thing to take inventory of is what healthy habits or what unhealthy habits do you have right now? Like, what habits are you cultivating right now? Either they can be unhealthy or they can be healthy or unhealthy, right? So what habits do you have right now that you are cultivating? The next thing is start small with 2 to 3 things you want to do each day. Add to the routine once you become consistent. So like, say you want to add making your bed to your routine, add that and then add something else after that. Once you become consistent with that, add your skincare routine. Add your, okay, I'm going to do an hour of journaling every morning when I get up. Slowly start adding things to your routine. Also pay attention to the things that you already do consistently, right? Because there's some things that we do every day that are already good, healthy habits, like taking a shower, drinking 60 ounces of water. What else? Brushing your teeth, making your bed. These things are some things that you do. Notice the things you already do consistently, right? Have some form of self-accountability and accountability with friends. So I remember when I started to journal 5 years ago, I would put day one on, I would put the day, like what day it was. So I would put day one at the top of every journal entry to track consistently how many days I was doing it for, right? And I think I got up to maybe 40 days of consistently journaling every day. Or you can use a calendar, you could use a habit tracker, you could use your phone to track how consistent you are with your habits, and also tell your friends or tell your family about your new routine so they can keep you in check, right? Because we can't do this alone. Recognize how you feel when you do certain things. Tune in with your 5 senses when you're doing your new routine. So something that's new for my routine is that I've been using coconut oil instead of lotion to moisturize my body. And when I do that, I take note of like how it smells, how it feels, how my skin feels after I put it on. Like the other day I was like, oh, my skin is soft. Like, okay, coconut oil, this is lit. Like, okay. Take note of how you feel after you do the new things in your routine. Like, for example, I had gotten off the task of writing in my journal every day, and the other day I did it, and I was like, wow, this feels really good again. It just felt good to really just get my thoughts out on paper. So I also found another article that I think is important to read as we go through this topic. It was called Struggling with Sticking to Routines. I used to struggle with routines until I figured this out, and I'll leave the link to that in the description box. So one thing she said in here was, let me pull it up. It says, I see now that was all a lie to myself, a protection, if you will, because you see the truth about routines is that they are actually an investment in yourself and an act of self-love. That is a powerful statement to make. And I think if we start looking at a routine and habits as a self-investment and self-love, I think we'll be more prone to be more consistent with it, right? Because when you create a habit or create a healthy habit and a healthy routine, you are making sure that you are reaching your goals, right? That is important when it comes to self-love, that you are reaching your goals, right? And when you stick to your routine and stick to your healthy habits, you are loving on yourself, right? Another part of this, she said, and I wasn't believing for a variety of reasons, mostly fear I wouldn't be good enough. I think that my creative aspirations deserve to become a routine. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that if you have problems sticking to your routine, it's not because you are lazy or lack willpower. It is because you are afraid of something or don't believe in yourself. I realized that for me, the story I told myself about being lazy and not good at routines, that was the fear speaking. The fear that if I invested in routines that supported my writing or creative work, then I had to share that work and that work would be found wanting, right? Sometimes we fall off our routine, or we don't stick to our routine because we're afraid of success. We're afraid that, hey, this could work and I could actually be productive, right? So let's think, like, what are you afraid of as it relates to sticking to your routine? We could be afraid of success. We could be afraid of what we have to give up to keep this routine going. We could be afraid of so many things when it relates to creating healthy habits and routines. Think about that. And I also want to leave you guys with the scripture. The scripture is Proverbs 21:5, because, the Lord is concerned about every part of our lives. He is concerned about us fulfilling the plans that he has for us. He is concerned about us, and he has not stopped thinking about us just because of the pandemic, right? He is still concerned about his children, even though it's a pandemic. So the verse is Proverbs 21:5. Good planning and hard work lead to prosperity, but hasty shortcuts lead to poverty, right? So what are you planning for? What are you working hard for, right? Being prosperous, there has to be work and planning involved in order for us to reach our goals, right? So what are you planning for? What are you working hard for, right? We can't be prosperous. We can't live these wealthy lives if we're not even planning nothing, right? We can say to the Lord all we want to, like, I want to be wealthy. I want to be prosperous. I want to be this, but you also have to do the work. God can give you ideas. He can give you opportunities for wealth, but if you're not willing to do the work, nothing's going to happen, right? We have to do the work. Do the work. Do the work. So yeah. One thing before I go, I wanted to share with you guys a product that I've been using that has been helping me during this pandemic. So for a while, I've struggled with really large dandruffy flakes around my hairline. And I used to go to the dermatologist for it. But over the pandemic, I'm just like, hey, let's find out a way that I can naturally treat this. So for me, I started using tea tree oil, and it's antimicrobial and antifungal. So at first, when I started using it, I was like, it's not really working. I don't know. Shouldn't have tried this. Maybe I should go back to the dermatologist. But today, looking at my scalp looks 10 times better than what it was. It also helped with the itchiness of it, because my scalp was very itchy, and my scalp has rarely been itchy these past couple of days since I used it again. So yeah, tea tree oil, if you have an itchy scalp or if you have dandruff, get you some tea tree oil, dilute it either with water or coconut oil or a carrier oil like extra virgin olive oil or coconut oil, and use it. Let the tea tree oil bless you. It's strong though, like the scent is strong, but it works wonders, right? Tea tree oil and peppermint oil also helps as well. So y'all, this is another episode of the podcast. I hope it blessed you like it blessed me, because even when I was recording this episode, when I was researching for the episode, the articles and the scriptures I was finding was blessing me. So here's to a more productive week and creating new routines and habits. So stay tuned for next week's episode.